You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Thanks so much for joining me here today on this Total Wellness Tuesday show, where we are doing a part 2 from last week's 7 foods and lifestyle factors that damage your brain. So I went over very specifically last week 7 different lifestyle-based items and factors and foods that every single day just chip away a tiny little bit, creating inflammation in the brain and aging your brain over time. So when we start to look at what causes Alzheimer's, what causes dementia, and other neurological-based issues as well, we can start to see that it's not a mystery, that these factors, there's probably about 20 to 30 total factors, which I'll be going over more in the future as well, all over time, decades worth of inflammation and inflammaging begin to deteriorate the brain. So what I'd like to do now is share with you those things that can help. So last week, episode 1348, if you're interested, head on over to stephencabral.com/1348 to find out what factors in your life and what foods are aging your brain at a rapid rate. Today, what I'd like to do is this. I'd like to go over a bunch of factors, 7 of them today, that are actually going to help the brain, that will improve your memory and improve your overall health, because we don't want to start to think of our brain as something separate from our body. What's good for the body is also good for the brain, and what's good for the brain is also good for our body. So let's not disconnect the different organs and systems in our body. They're all connected, right? We have to really think about that. You don't do one thing for Hashimoto's, you don't do one thing for rheumatoid arthritis, one thing for migraines. What you do is you get your body unified and healthy as a total system, and because you do that, you become healthy. And then you don't have the Hashimoto's, the rheumatoid arthritis, the migraines, the psoriasis, the IBS, the Crohn's, the colitis, you name it. That's it. You don't have those things because your body's healthy. Because disease does not exist in one space alone. The entire body is having issues. Yes, a tumor might grow in one place, or in rheumatoid arthritis, your knuckles may start to become disfigured, or in Hashimoto's, your thyroid is starting to become inflamed and attacked by your immune system. Well, here's the issue. There's other things going on in other parts of your body. That's just the targeted area. Let's get the whole body healthy. So let's talk about 7 of those factors today. And then what I'm going to do, by the end of the show, I did a 3-part series on Alzheimer's, how to look for early risk factors for Alzheimer's, what tests to run, and then how to make sure that you stop it in its tracks. And I did a 3-part series on that. So what I'm going to do today is we will link up to those 3 previous shows. And the reason I want to link up and not necessarily just embed them, which I've been doing lately with my team, is because on those 3 individual shows, I link out what to ask your doctor for in terms of blood work. I link up other labs. I link up food. So we want to make sure that we link to those 3 previous shows. If you listen to those 3 shows on Alzheimer's, you will know a whole lot about risk factors for Alzheimer's, but also how to prevent it. Remember, you don't have to get Alzheimer's. If someone in your family had Alzheimer's, you don't have to get Alzheimer's. I know that in my family, people have had Alzheimer's. It doesn't mean I'm going to get Alzheimer's. I'm not worried about it at all because I know the risk factors. And then I'll do another sum up show with even more additional state-of-the-art information in the future. Because again, even though we're going and we're really developing drugs to target some of these things like beta amyloid plaque, it's not the only thing, right? When we're talking about dementia and Alzheimer's, we're actually looking at a few other factors as well. There's a new theory as well in Alzheimer's, something called synaptoclastic neurodegenerating factors. So what does that mean? Well, it means this, that The synaptoclastic is the breaking down, all right? So that's the destroying. It's kind of like osteoporosis. But then there's osteoblasts, just like there's synaptoblasts. And that will help to build back up the brain, just like your body can build back up bone. So I'm going to go through those with you. There is about 20 to 30 different factors, but the 3 shows I did on Alzheimer's really did break it down for you already. I'll just kind of do a summary show in the future because I don't want to let too much time go by without continuing to talk about that, and it's been a few hundred shows since I have. Time flies. All right, so let's get right into the 7 factors today that for sure are going to help you with that brain and memory and just overall the aging process. The first one I think you're really going to like, and that's this. If you don't have histamine issues, if you don't have issues with skin, with breakouts surrounding chocolates, dark chocolate can actually be really protective for the nervous system and brain. And one of the reasons is that it's very high in what are called flavonoids. Some people pronounce them flavonoids, but there's only one V. So if we look at it phonetically, it's flavonoids. And I like it sounds nicer as well because a lot of these flavonoids are all contained in foods, delicious foods. Well, I don't do well with chocolate. I'm just going to be the first one to throw it out there. Okay, I don't do great with chocolate. But again, the Cabral concept is meant to be unbiased. I don't give you things that just work for me. I give you things that work for the majority of the people in the world. Dark chocolate. Again, I don't like people to do this every night because they get into that habit of it. But dark chocolate has a lot of flavonoids. And those flavonoids have powerful antioxidant capability. And they can help scavenge free radicals in the body, which is creating inflammation and also deteriorating the brain. So if we look at that, dark chocolate, now again, I would look for greater than 72% dark chocolate, ideally greater than 80% dark chocolate. And if it doesn't tell you right on the front of the label what percentage it is, most likely it's not a good quality dark chocolate. Most likely it's more of a milk chocolate, which is like 60% and below. You also want to look in the ingredients on the back. You want that first one to be cacao beans or some type of chocolate as that first one. And then you do not want these sweetened. Remember, one of the ones that breaks down and creates brain-based issues is sugar, processed flours, and sugar. Okay, we don't want processed carbohydrates. We don't. What we want, though, are a lot of the good foods that don't have a lot of the sugar and that also have the antioxidants. And again, fruit is not part of the sugar equation at all. I'm going to name that in just a second. But here's the thing. I would love you to look at it this. Look for, let's just go 75% or greater, dark chocolate. First ingredient is actually the cacao beans. And then if there is a sweetener in there, it should be very minimal. And I would like it to be maple syrup. That's a very healthy sweetener. Okay. It might be raw honey. Okay, that would be okay. Or maybe a little non-GMO cane sugar. There are a few other ones that are acceptable, that are okay, but let's be careful that there's no artificial sweeteners. A lot of these, keto type chocolate bars and the things, put in other types of fake sweeteners that we don't want. We certainly don't want sugar alcohol in there. And we also don't want any type of Splenda or anything like that in there as well, okay? So I'm going to keep it at that. The only chocolate and it's not that I don't love chocolate. Believe me, I love chocolate. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes during cheat meal, there's no doubt I will have some sea salt chocolate chip cookies because they're absolutely delicious. And so I'll do that like once a week. Not every week, but it depends on what it is, part of my cheat meal. If I wanted it to be every week, I could do it every week because it's part of that cheat meal. But anyway, I alternate. So I'll use my chocolate, which is cacao, daily nutritional support powder in the morning, or I'll use the vanilla. It depends on what type of shake that I'm making. I love putting in sometimes some tiger nut butter, and I'll do some frozen banana, and I'll do some mac nut milk with water, and then I'll do the chocolate daily nutritional support. And that makes a delicious, kind of like peanut butter banana, but it's not peanuts because I don't do a lot of nuts. It's tiger nut, which is different, and it's a root. And that's great. And then the Sacha Inchi, I'll do some of that. That's delicious, loaded with omega-3s. All right. So anyway, great way to get it however you want it. Good. Enjoy. Don't go overboard, though, okay? Don't go overboard. We're talking about a couple little squares of dark chocolate. All right. The next one is this. And I've been talking about this, and I would love you to check out some of the previous shows. I've been talking a lot about the benefits of green tea. Okay. Other teas are also beneficial. Tulsi tea is beneficial. There are a lot of good blends. But green tea still is one of those ones that's coming out there as, if not the top, one of the top teas. And I like to simplify things in the Cabral concept, so 75% or greater. Dark chocolate, right? Okay, what's another great one? Well, matcha, right? Green tea or matcha tea, really nice way. Again, and this is going back to it. I don't drink green tea. My wife drinks green tea every single day. I don't drink any green tea. But that doesn't mean that it's not great for you, because it is, right? You do all sorts of different things in life that are great for you. It doesn't have to just be one. Well, green tea is one of those, and I've been talking a lot about it. If you just go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, and in the search bar, type in matcha, MATCHA, you will find different shows on matcha tea. But what's so great about, tea in general? Well, again, going back to the powerful antioxidants in tea. One of those being EGCG. And EGCG is one of the ones that I talked about in green tea being so powerful and so potent. I mean, it is one of the superpowers in terms of antioxidants that also helps with detox in the body. It helps clean up those free radicals. So again, really, really nice. And that would be number 2. All right, number 3 is this. My third one for you is going to be, without a doubt, wild blueberries. All right, I've talked about this before, but wild blueberries, you can even buy them frozen. That's how easy. Again, you want to keep things simple. In my shake, most mornings of the week, goes in 1 to 2 cups of wild blueberries. It's so simple. They're low glycemic. It's going to give me energy, and it's going to help, again, proven to be great for the cardiovascular system, to be good for your overall nervous system, and to be great for the brain. So now, blueberries helping out with all of these different factors in the body, and you can just add 1 scoop in the morning. It's under 30 carbohydrates for those people counting their carbohydrates. But again, it's going to make you healthy. That's what we want, right? So we want to get those blueberries in there, and that's going to be a really nice way to get those anthocyanins and other types of antioxidants. Plus, I'm telling you, most foods such as your fruits and veggies and those types of things are not blue, right? You're getting, well, let's say a red apple, and you're getting all of your greens from maybe it's spinach or Swiss chard or celery, but you don't eat a lot of purples and blues in your diet. So we do want to eat a rainbow. I did a whole show on eating a rainbow of foods. I would love you to go back and listen to that show. And here's why. So maybe I'll embed that, or we'll try to embed that show. Today's show notes will be, why don't I give you that, at stephencabral.com/1355. Okay, so I think people overlook why you should eat a rainbow of colors. And that's because each different color of food does a different thing in your body. And why this is important is because when you're on a keto-based diet or carnivore-based diet, you're not eating these rainbow of colors. So you are missing out on some of the immune-based benefits of the whites, and I'm not going to go through all of them right now. I really want you to listen to that show because it goes much deeper than what people give these foods credit for. So if you think about it, I mean, again, what other purple or blue foods are you really eating? So that's why I eat purple potatoes, one of my favorites. I talked about that a little bit on last Friday's podcast. If you didn't tune into that, check that out. That was episode 1351. But I'm right now, simple, easy, 1 cup of wild blueberries in your shake in the morning, and you are good to go. All right, I'm going to give you number 4. Number 4 moves a little bit away from the foods, and it moves more towards sleep. Sleep is overlooked. I talk about sleep quite often in terms of energy and mood and blood sugar. But I want to go this with the fast included. So we're talking about sleep and fasting overnight. So I'm kind of combining the two. We'll count it as a little bit of a bonus one. And the reason why this matters is you want to stop eating about 3 hours before bed. Here's why you want to do that, especially if you're someone who's more of the kapha body type or you're more prone to higher blood sugar. So if you're fasting glucose in the morning, it's above a 90, you definitely want to stop eating 3 hours before bed, okay? And again, I can't give you medical advice, so if you've been told otherwise, please listen to your doctor. Can't give you that over a podcast. But what I can tell you is this. If you stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed, you are allowing your body for the food to move out of sight of your stomach. and to then be able to properly work on lowering blood sugar and lowering insulin levels overnight. So if you think about it like this, we don't eat for 3 hours before bed. Let's say we stop eating at 7 o'clock, okay? Now you get into bed at 10 o'clock, and you don't eat again until 7 that next morning. You've gone your 12 hours. The nice thing is this, over that 12 hours, your body will need some type of glucose. You need glucose for your brain. You need glucose for your muscles. You need glucose for your nervous system. Like, your body runs on glucose. It does that. If you didn't have enough sugar, you would die. People simplify the whole glucose thing too much. You would die without sugar in your body. So much so that your body will make sugar out of everything essentially except for fat, right? It will make it out of protein. Definitely gets it, obviously, from carbs. It will break down your own muscle tissue to get glucose. So that's why we don't want to look at carbs as a bad thing. Our body needs them to live. But we do want a time that lowers our blood sugar, okay? And that will be overnight. So if we can lower insulin levels, we've reduced one of the risk factors for Alzheimer's and dementia and inflammation, because our blood sugar will be level. Now, we don't want to drop into hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. So sometimes the advice is a little bit different for a body type that would go into hypoglycemia. Now, that's sometimes more of a stress and HPA axis issue with the adrenals, so that has to be correct. That's okay. You can correct that as well. So really important, let's look at stopping eating 3 hours before bed and getting our 8 hours of sleep. I did a show on how much sleep that you need. So if you didn't tune into that show, I recommend going back, looking into that show as well, because that will tell you essentially how much sleep you need. So it's the truth behind how much sleep you need a night, and it involves kids too. That was episode 1320. So if you're taking notes, head on over to 1320 for that show, and you'll find out if you need 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, how much sleep you need, and how much your kids need as well. All right, so that is that on our sleep and our fasting overnight, which helps improve what's called neurogenesis. And that is let's call it building up of the brain and the nervous system, brain neurological based connection versus breaking it down. And again, we went over the 7 factors in foods that break it down, and that was on episode 1348. All right, next up is this. We have to be able to control stress. We talked about that last week. We have to control chronic stress. But what we didn't talk about were some of those things that help to better control chronic stress. And I'll go over the next one in a moment. That's a lifestyle factor. But some of the ancient Ayurvedic herbs we know for sure help to control stress. Some of those would be this: rhodiola. It is a great one, these are called herbal adaptogens. It's a great one to boost energy, but also calm stress. Rhodiola, okay? Another one that's probably the most famous, and it should be, because it's absolutely fantastic and very well proven now to help control and ease cortisol production. That would be ashwagandha. Really, really powerful herb. Okay, couple more. L-theanine. Also found in tea. One of the other great reasons for using something like a green tea as well. Okay, what's another good one? Phosphatidylserine, the one that's hard for people to say, but amazing at lowering nighttime cortisol. I mean, it will lower cortisol anytime you take it, but we typically use 1 with lunch and 2 with dinner, so we don't get that afternoon craziness of stress or before bed. So that's a product that we combine all of those with, and that's called Adrenal Soothe. Just like it says, it soothes the production of the adrenals, which is causing more cortisol. So 1 at lunch, 2 at dinner, Adrenal Soothe. Again, you can use whatever company you like best, and that's totally fine. But those are a few of the great herbs that helps with stress management. Ashwagandha, rhodiola, L-theanine, and phosphatidylserine. There are other great ones as well, but those are 4 very powerful ones that work as synergists to help with the HPA axis, which is just the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. It's just how it functions. Again, the brain telling the body what to do. All right, my next one is this: exercise. Exercise, but moderate exercise only. And I've chatted about this. Now, I love exercise. I really do. But over-exercising can actually be neurodegenerative. It can actually hurt the brain, hurt the heart, and hurt the overall body. We know that, and we know that we can increase inflammation as well. So when we look at this and we look at the studies, we're saying some exercise good over-exercising bad, okay? Going for a 3-mile jog, under 30 minutes or under 40 minutes, okay. Going for a marathon run, not so good, right? Not so good. So what we're looking at is a little bit good, overdoing it bad, none really bad, right? So it's kind of like none really bad, marathon really bad, somewhere in the middle. And we have to find that for ourselves, meaning that you shouldn't run a mile if you're not walking 10,000 steps. Like you want to work up to that. So don't do a specific workout because you think you're supposed to do it. Do what's right for your body. I mean, if you're wiped out and sore the next day, whatever you did for exercise, that actually hurt you. That was too much. Do a little bit. Okay, you feel a little bit the next day. Good. That's called a hermetic stressor. You're building your body up. It's becoming a little bit stronger. You shouldn't be wiped out, but okay, you feel a little bit. Now you do the same thing the next week. Oh, you don't feel anything the next day. Okay, let's take it to that next level. Just a little bit more. Let's add maybe 5% more, 10% more maximum. Okay, let's now do the next. So that is what we teach in the Integrative Health Practitioner. That's just one part of the de-stress protocol, and we work our way up. All right? So moderate exercise for life. That's why I talk about it. Don't burn your body out. You need to do this for life. How many days a week? More days than not. Ideally 4, okay? But if you can do 3, I'm good with that too. But ideally 4, okay? And we've talked about that many, many times of how to split those days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pick a weekend day, ideally the day that you might have a cheat meal, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday if you want to take the weekends off. Just try to get in that exercise. It will do you a world of good 10, 20, 50 years from now besides today. All right. The last one I want to give you is this, and it is this emerging world of cannabinoids. And you might know cannabinoids better as CBD. And CBD is one part of the cannabis-based plant benefits. So you would get the tetrahydrocannabinoids, which is THC, and that's what gives people the psychoactive high from marijuana. And then you have the CBD, which when you get full spectrum is almost none. It's 0.3 or less THC. But you get the benefits of the CBD, the cannabinoids. And there is CBD in marijuana as well. But you don't have to get the psychoactive high to get the benefits of the CBD. And typically CBD is lower in marijuana than it is on its own. Much, much lower. Usually it's like 5-10 milligrams, right? Much lower. What we want is a dosage between 25 and 50 milligrams per serving for most people. Again, I can't tell you the exact amount for you. Some people need 100. Okay, they might be a little bit larger. They might be a good detoxifier of CBD. They might have, their receptors might be fantastic, CB1, CB2 receptors. So there are different amounts for different people, of course. You can always start with a little bit less, and you can work up. And we're hoping, we're not positive, nothing's ever positive in this field, but we're hoping that we are able to offer our CBD products again in the future. We believe we were specifically targeted because our CBD, without a doubt, is the best in the world. Now, there are other people who are the best in the world too, but for sure, you can't make it any better. It had the best delivery system. It had the highest potency. It was completely full spectrum. Had the terpenes in there, everything, right? And it was working, and people were talking about it. And we were doing this 4 years ago before CBD was even big. Anyway, it's okay. We'll be back. But I'll tell you right now, we're looking at very powerful neuroprotective properties, brain protective properties with CBD as well. So not only can it calm the nervous system, which helps the brain, but it also is a powerful free radical scavenger and very, very potent in the body. And our body is actually set up, our body already has receptors for cannabinoids. So picture that, okay? Our body was probably meant to get some level of cannabinoids in our body. And when you look at that, that makes it really, really interesting for the future of CBD as well. And I was just at a big, big trade show last week. Probably saw my email on Sunday if you're on my email list at stephencabral.com. And it was 36 hours in Vegas. And I'm not a big gambler. I don't do anything too wild in Vegas. But I love the different trade shows that are out there. And I flew in and met with over 100 vendors. And probably 15 of those, 20 of those were just CBD based. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. So here's the thing. We know about cannabinoids. We know about full spectrum. And now it's all about the delivery methods. Then delivery methods are getting better and better and better. Wait till you see The potency and the ability to extract CBD 5 years from now, incredible, right? But don't wait for the benefits. You can start getting them now. All right. So, and again, stay tuned to the Cabral Concept. We will let you know when we are back. We already have the CBD. We've got our gummies. We've got our oils. We have our soft gels, which are incredible. We have all these great products. We're coming out with CBD pain-based creams. But again, we're fighting. We'll get back there. We'll never give up, and hopefully in the future as well. All right. So those are these 7 main factors in foods that I simplified to have it be very healthy and protective for your brain as you age. And again, I made this pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Chocolate. If you love chocolate, now you have an excuse. You can get a little bit of that dark chocolate in there. Don't go overboard, and it has to be dark chocolate, no sugar. Okay, the next is green tea. Okay, green tea is a great one if you like a little bit of caffeine but don't want the jitters or a lot of anxiety. Try switching out your caffeine or your coffee in the morning for some green tea. Ideally, even a matcha. You can make a matcha latte using a little bit of coconut milk or macadamia nut milk or your favorite hemp milk, whatever it might be. Wild blueberries. Another great one. Now you say, I don't like wild blueberries. All right, add something else powerful. Maybe cherries, dark cherries, right? So get in some of those dark berries and have them have a lot of skin to them. Those will always be protective. Fasting and sleep overnight. Okay, we need to give the brain and the blood sugar a time of quiet and rest. The next one is this: managing your overall stress. Okay, lowering stress, and you can use adaptogens as needed. And CBD helps with that too. CBD, we'll just mention that one. And then, of course, moderate-based exercise. Hopefully today's podcast was helpful. If it was, please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it can serve. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.